The keynote speaker is called Kim Hodous. She comes to us today with the experience on happiness, not because she has researched in a lab or received a grant from a prestigious university. She has an expert on happiness because she is just like most of us. She lived a life of challenges and success. She is a former high school history teacher, a stay-at-home mom who built $1 million business from her kitchen table. She is also an award-winning businesswoman, best-selling author, a yoga instructor, and oh yeah, a mother of 5. I got 3. She made $1 million. Oh, that I need to talk. A year ago, Miss Kim experienced a life greatness tragedy and started her down the path to discover how to make a genius happy. It is now her mission to make the world a happy place. In addition to her passion for all things happy, she likes sushi. She is an unreasonable obsession with mint
Milanos.
Mint Milano. I can't say that word. I don't even know how to write. Please help me up with this team.
Thank you so much, darling.
We got to do that with 5 kids.
Yeah. There was a professor from the University of Pennsylvania, and he was working with a group of students who were very unhappy. In fact, they had categorized themselves as severely depressed. And he gave these students one activity. That was at the end of each day to recall and write down 3 good things that had happened. It could be anything. And what they found was after 15 days of recalling and writing down 3 good things, 94% of those students recategorized themselves as either moderately and some even mildly depressed. I mean, one simple activity can completely change the state of your happiness. Well, I was doing a school kickoff a couple of years ago, and I knew I was going to be sharing this data. So I was out talking to the teachers, and I was saying, tell me 3 good things about being a teacher. This one woman comes up to me, she puts her hands on her hips, she goes, 3 good things about being a teacher? June, July, and August. And I thought, oh, sweetie, I am so glad you're going to be in my session, because I truly am on a mission to make this world a happier place. Whoop, whoop! Ah. You guys are so good. You've already got it. So I want us to whoop it up in the next hour that we have together. So anytime today you hear something you really like, something you completely agree with, I want you to feel free to just let out a whoop, whoop, all right? I want you to be comfortable with it, so we're going to practice. So I'm going to say it first, and then you're going to repeat it, and you get extra credit if you put the hand motions in. Here we go. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. All right. I bet you're feeling better already. Some of you are just happy I'm not going to be boring. Yeah, and that's a good thing because our country is actually in a happiness decline. This year we were 19th among all nations in happiness. And I find it interesting that we're 2nd among all nations in consumption of goods. So clearly having more is not making us happy. So I'm here to talk about happiness. What is happiness? This elusive thing that our forefathers even mentioned in the Declaration of Independence, right? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among them are life, liberty, and the... Yes, but in our country will go to war for life and liberty, but it's almost like the pursuit of happiness has fallen off the map. It's now the pursuit of more. So let me tell you what happiness is not. It's not just having a smile on your face all the time, because there are going to be genuine things that happen that make us feel sad. It is not having the fanciest car with all the bells and whistles. It's not the biggest house in the best neighborhood. It's also not a destination we can check. It's not a box we can check and just be like, oh, I'm happy now. I can cross that off my list. Happiness is actually a mindset and a practice. It's a set of what they call intentional thoughts, habits, and actions that we can take on a daily basis, like the 3 good things. And happiness is going to look a little different for each and every one of us. But I don't think it matters how you define happiness. I think most of us would agree we'd like to have more of it in our lives. How many of you, raise your hands high, if you'd like to have a little more fun, a little more happiness, a little more joy in your life? Look around. Yeah. Whoop, whoop. I like it. Oh, you guys got the memo. I like it. I like it. Yeah. And there's actually a reason for that. And that is because happiness is good for us. Happy people are healthier. When we're happy and laughing and having fun, it actually lowers our blood pressure, it boosts our immune system, it improves our heart function, and our body actually creates more cancer-fighting T cells when we're happy. Now, can you imagine if a pharmaceutical company created a pill with all those benefits? I can hear it now. Side effects may include blurred vision, constipation, dry mouth, hair loss, insomnia, skin rash, thoughts of suicide, and renal failure. Renal failure? I don't even know where my renal is. I just know I'd rather be happy than have it fail. Yeah. Happy people live longer. And get this, ladies, and men. I know there's always a few men in here. Love to have some men. Being happy will make you sexy. Yeah. Whoop, whoop. Yeah. Actually, the research doesn't say that, but it does say that it'll make you more attractive. They put up pictures of pouty supermodels next to images of everyday people like you and me with great big smiles, and people ranked the ordinary people with big smiles as more attractive. So there are a lot of benefits to us with happiness. One of the greatest ones, though, is what it does for your mental health. Because they have found that when you're happy in work, this isn't just life, this is when you're happy in work, your whole life satisfaction increases. It doesn't work in reverse. If you're happy in your life, it doesn't make your work better, but if you're happy in your work, your entire life gets better. There are some other benefits at work, and they may not be what you think. How many of you often wish there were more hours in the day? Yeah. I get it. I hear that a lot. Being happy can't give you more hours in the day, but all the data points to the fact that when you're happy, happy people are more productive. Up to some studies show up to 28% more productive. So at least you can get more done in the time that you do have. Happy people miss 10 times less work, which is great, because it's those grouchy people we just soon stay home, right? Yeah. You know how some people walk into your kitchen and they just light it up? And some people walk out of your kitchen and they just light it up? All right. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. We got the happy ones in here. Yes. So, yeah, and if you didn't laugh at that, I don't know, you might just be one of them. Just saying. Yeah. So there are all kinds of benefits to being happy at work. And we want to take those benefits. And I was really fascinated by all this data. So I did a deep dive on the research. I'm a little bit of a research geek. I want to share with you just a little bit of the science behind happiness. In 2002, Martin Seligman, a psychologist, started a body of work called positive psychology. Before that, psychologists had only studied mental illness, people with neuroses, some kind of prognosis. And he said, why don't we study happy, thriving people and see what we can learn from them? And when they started out, the hypothesis was that 90% of your happiness would be based on your circumstances. That kind of makes sense, right? What they found out within the first year of doing this research is that only 10% of your happiness is based on your circumstances. Get that, only 10% of your happiness is based on your circumstances. Yet I find it so interesting because when people are unhappy, what's the first thing they try to change? Their circumstances. I call it IBHW disease. I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I can, just lose 30 pounds. I'll be happy when I can just get a promotion. I'll be happy when I can just find the perfect mate. I'll be happy when I can just get rid of the not so perfect mate. But actually, only 10% of our happiness is based on our circumstances. The other 90% is how we process those circumstances. 50% of our happiness is what they call your genetic set point. And they used to think that your genetic set point couldn't be changed. They actually have found one thing that you can do to alter your genetic set point, and I'm going to share that with you today. And then the remaining 40% of your happiness is made up of what they call intentional thoughts, habits, and actions, those small little things that you can do on a daily basis to nudge you in the direction of happiness. So I took all this data, and then it was my life experience that really fueled me to focus on happiness. My journey started about 30 years ago. Oh my goodness, any kind of technology. The big green button, Nate, is that what I hit? All right, so there I am 30 years ago. Don't judge, perms were cool back then, okay? You can see me, that smile just plastered on my face. I'm trying to get through. Our t-shirts say, I helped Chelsea fight leukemia. And that little peanut in the middle there is Chelsea. And she did give it a banner fight. But my husband and I held her just a few weeks after she turned 2 years old, as she took her last breath and succumbed to that cancer. My friends used to call me Mary Poppins. I'm a glass half full kind of girl. And when Chelsea died, I still had 4 kids under the age of 5, and I, for the first time in my life, just became depressed. I was in a pit of despair. I didn't know if I was going to be able to work my way out of it. And we often don't give men enough credit for knowing how to handle their emotions. My husband knew exactly what he needed to deal with his grief. It was a brand new Harley Davidson. This is our Christmas picture that winter. And I didn't even pick up on this till about 10 years after, when I was looking at it. That little empty spot right between my girls is right where Chelsea would have gone. And so he goes on a 3-week motorcycle trip across country with 2 of his buddies. When he roars back in our driveway, he's different. I mean, he looked different. His energy was different. Everything about him was different. And I thought, well, I guess he just released some of his grief out there on the open road. And I thought, well, maybe that's what I need. I need to take a trip. That exact same week, I get this flyer in the mail for a seminar called In Celebration of Your Total Womanhood. Well, I was celebrating nothing in life at that point, but I saw that flyer and I thought, I'm supposed to be there. Now, I cannot tell you anything about that event except the final night. They bring in this man named Rob. Now, Rob was the therapist to the stars back in the day, back before Dr. Phil. A little difference between Dr. Phil and Rob. Rob stands 6'5". He's Italian. He's built like a lumberjack. He's got this curly dark hair that, falls below his shoulders, piercing blue eyes, beautiful white smile. And I thought that'd get a whoop whoop. So Rob, who goes, there were maybe 10 or 12 of us women at this event. I happened to be sitting on his right-hand side. He starts at the left side of the room, and he's going around after dinner and giving each woman like a little 20, 25-minute therapy session. And they're crying, and they're getting these huge ahas, and, oh, that's just what I needed to hear. And I'm just over there thinking, what is he going to say to me when he gets to me? Because I was still kind of a mess. So by the time he gets around to me, it's midnight. He looks at me and he says, I feel so much pain coming from you. I'd like to do your session in private in your hotel room. buddy, I bet you would. Once I cleared that it was safe to bring this man up to my hotel room, as we're going up to my room, I'm telling him about Chelsea dying and how sad I am, and I just can't seem to let it go. And as soon as we get to our hotel room, he takes my hand and he says, let's go into the bathroom. I know the story keeps getting weirder. So we go into the bathroom and he says, I want you to take your right eye and I want you to look into your left eye and I want you to see your daughter in the mirror. And he said, and when you see her, I want you to forgive her for dying, for leaving. And I said, forgive her? She died of cancer. It wasn't her fault. And he said, you know that up here? But in here, you're still holding on to all the pain and the anger. And then he said the thing that really hit me. He said, and then, Kim, you need to forgive yourself because Chelsea's the one that died, but you're the one that's quit living. I don't know what kind of magic Rob had, but I took my right eye, I looked into that mirror into my left eye, and I saw my daughter's soul, I saw my soul, and I will tell you, I started to sob. I forgave, I released, I let go. I got crying so hard, you know, when you're just sobbing and your whole body is just going back and forth and the snot is flying and I start wailing and my knees are hitting that little vanity and I'm just, And all I could think is, I bet these people wonder what's going on in this bathroom at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'll tell you, when it comes to happiness, if there's anybody you need to forgive, you forgive because you get the payoff. Now that night, as I was laying in bed by myself, just saying, I know some of y'all went there. As I was laying in bed, I thought back to what my husband had said the morning after Chelsea died, when we woke up in the Ronald McDonald house. I remember he looked at me and he said, life is never going to be the same. And I remember thinking, no, nothing's ever going to be the same again. And what I realized that night is that if nothing was going to be the same, I only had two options. Life could get better or life could get worse. And I wasn't going to let life get worse for Chelsea, having been here. And I decided in the next year, that is when I really began to research happiness because I wanted to know, what does it take to get back to our true sense of happiness? Happiness is an inside job. 90% of it is within us. Only 10% is our external circumstances. And I want to tell you that the pursuit of happiness is not a selfish endeavor because our emotions are contagious. And when you are happier and you get lifted up, everybody around you gets happier and everybody else gets lifted up as well. So are you guys ready to learn the 5 strategies that are going to make you happier? Oh, all right, I like it. Here we go. So the first one, there's going to be 5. The first one is to fully engage in your life, to pay attention, to show up, to live every single minute of your life and not stand on the sidelines and just kind of let it go by, or to think, oh my gosh, how can I take a picture of this and make it look cool on social media, right? It's to fully engage. And there are millions and millions and millions of people every single day, from the minute their feet hit the floor until their head goes back on the pillow, they are fully engaged in their life. They are living it. They are not distracted. They are just having so much fun, embracing everything that comes their way. And do you know what these millions and millions and millions of people have in common? They're under the age of 3. I have always said children are our teachers. That's why I have had 5. And that old adage, you can't be in 2 places at once, not true anymore. Because you can be in this room with me, but if you decide to pull out your phone and all of a sudden you're scrolling whatever your favorite platform is, Facebook or Instagram. I used to just say Facebook, but then my kids tell me that that's for old people. Okay, that might be why that's the only one I'm on. Instagram, TikTok, whatever your favorite platform is, and all of a sudden you come across, vacation pictures of that hottie you sat next to in 10th grade English. You're not here in this room with me. You're on vacation with the hottie in Cancun, right? And I believe that one of the biggest deterrents, and science will back this up, One of the biggest deterrents to our happiness today are these little gadgets. Yeah. And part of the reason is because if you are engaged on your phone, you're not really engaged in your life. You're not engaged with the people around you. I'm sure many of you know, if you work in the upper schools, there can be a kid in the cafeteria just on their phone. They're not engaged and connected to anybody else. And it also stops us from being engaged and connected to ourselves. Look at this picture. You tell me who's the most engaged there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's not going to have to watch a video of it. And they say something like 89% of the videos you take, you never rewatch anyways. So, yeah. When I was a first-year teacher, I was 23 years old, and the kids in my classroom were having a fit about having to learn vocabulary words. You know, they'd get 20 words, had to spell them, use them in a sentence, learn the definition, and they were just having a fit. So I decided I was going to get them fully engaged in this, and I was going to let them pick out their own vocabulary words. I got called to the principal's office because I wasn't following the curriculum, and I said, Mr. Barber, you know, they give them words like alacrity, copious, erudite. Who uses those words? My kids pick the coolest words. Bumfoozle, poppycock, kerfuffle. All legitimate words. Google them. They're in the dictionary. Not now, but at some point. And I mean, let me use one for you. My students were having a kerfuffle about learning their vocabulary words. And I thought, who's going to remember them in 5 years anyways? Well, fast forward 15 years. It's a Saturday morning. I'm in the grocery store. No makeup on, baseball hat, hoping nobody recognizes me. I'm just in the produce department getting my apples and bananas, and I noticed this younger guy kind of checking me out. I thought, honey, I'm too old for you. I just left the fruit department, and I went over to the bread aisle. As I go to the bread aisle, I noticed the dude's following me. So I kind of turned around and looked at him, and he goes, Mrs. Hodous. And when I saw him up close and I heard his voice, it all came back. It was Josh Epperson. Josh had been one of my favorite students, but I hadn't seen him since he was like 16. Now he's a 30-something-year-old grown man. We gave each other a hug, and he steps back and he goes, Mrs. Hodous, haboob. I said, huh, Josh, haboob? And he goes, haboob, it's a small dust storm. Don't you remember you let us pick our own vocabulary words? I still remember it. Turns out, you let a 16-year-old boy pick his own vocabulary word and it has boob in it. He's going to remember it forever. But I tell you that story because when we are fully engaged, we learn more and the lessons stick with us longer. And we can't be fully engaged if we're connected to our phones. I'm sure it would not be okay with anybody in this room for an operator to be on the line talking on her phone, right? There's a reason they don't let kids have phones in schools, because we want them engaged in life. And I will tell you, I would not wish the death of a child on anybody, ever. But I would wish the lessons that I learned for every single one of you. And one of the greatest lessons that I learned is that life is short. It can change on a dime, and you've got to live every single day to the fullest. I promise you, it will bring you more happiness than watching cat videos on Instagram, hands down. All right, so the first one is to fully engage in your life. The second one is to be positive. Be positive. And I understand this can be challenging because just like you have learned at this conference, there is so much to what you ladies and men do. And I'm sure you probably are not getting calls of appreciation from the administration who are saying things like, now listen, we know how difficult your job is. We know at breakfast you've got to have 4 items. Students have to take 3. 1 has to be a fruit. But at lunch it's components and there are 5 and students have to take 3 and 1 has to be a green vegetable. But oh, let us not forget, a green bean is not a green vegetable. Yeah, either it's cabbage, okra, or Brussels sprouts, apparently. I mean, and you know, I'm sure if you're a director or a manager and your phone starts ringing in the morning, they're probably not calling just to say, hey, I want to give you a positive thought this morning. Everything's going great, right? It's probably 2 operators called in sick, a dish machine is down, and oh yeah, the knives are missing from the kitchen again. Yeah. The Journal of Psychology says 85% of what we get exposed to is negative, and depending on your position, it could be even higher than that. So, when we get all these messages of negativity, it becomes the cultural norm. Now, I speak all over the country, but I want to see if you in South Carolina have gotten these messages. So help me complete these phrases. This is too good to be true. No pain. No pain. You better save money for a I was speaking for some financial planners, and I heard one of them said college. I was like, oh. Yes. So you guys have gotten the message that life is hard and good things don't last. And then we take that message of negativity from our culture, and it begins to perpetuate into our personal lives. My daughter, her senior year, brought home her report card. Straight A's and 1 D. Guess what the first words out of my mouth were? Tell me about that D. Right? I'm like, I write on this, teach on it, and I still screw it up because we have such a negativity bias. It's where our brains go. So when we get inundated with all this negativity, it becomes a pattern. So I want to see if there are any patterns you guys need to break. So everybody stand up. All right. So I want you to take your right hand, put it out to the side, bring it overhead, put it directly in front of you, make a fist, and bring it to your chin. Bring it to your chin. I saw some of you doing the slide. All right, I'm going to give you another shot. I'm going to tell you a story, and the answer to the story, and then I'm going to ask you a question, and the answer to the question's in the story. So listen carefully. You're a bus driver. At the first stop, a guy carrying a USC Gamecocks backpack gets on the bus. Okay, I'm here to make everybody happy. And at the next stop, a woman in a Clemson Tigers t-shirt gets off the bus. And at the third stop, 2 little boys with soccer balls get on the bus. Now here's the question, and the answer's in the story. What did the bus driver have for breakfast? All right, let me start the story again. You are a bus driver. Yeah. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. We just missed the first sentence. Okay? I'm going to give you one more shot. Okay? Do not get your phones out. I'm going to give you a math problem. You need to do it in your head. Take 1,000 and add 40. Add to that another 1,000 plus 30. Add to that another 1,000 plus 20. Add to that another 1,000 plus 10. Shout out your answer. Okay, I've done this. I've probably done this with over 1 million people. 5,000 is the predominant answer, but it's actually 4,100. It is a pattern. We just skip to the biggest whole number. So go ahead and have a seat. Good job. So I noticed that there were a few visual learners in the room. You know who you are. So I want to give you a visual demonstration of what negativity does to us. So I need a couple of volunteers to come up here and help me. Okay? Well, one of you, why don't we have one yellow? Okay. Okay. Wow. Woo! Okay, I've never seen this happen. Yeah.
She has broke my shoulder and my foot. I had to have surgery and a boot. She has broken.
Oh my. Okay, this is our charter school crew. We know how much fun they are having. I love it. All right. Okay, well, I'm going to let you both stay. No, but please, I'm not getting in the middle of that. All right, are you both right-handed?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so just stand right here in front.
But I'm really not allowed to arm wrestle her anymore.
Okay, good. Is your
shoulder doing
okay? Is your shoulder okay? Because I'm going to be pressing on your arm. If it's not okay.
Because I broke it.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Okay. Oh. Oh my God. My heart is beating so fast. I'm so scared. Okay. All right. We got. Whew. Okay. I'm starting to shake. Okay. All right. Hi. Okay. Tell everybody your name and where you're from.
Nicole Downard, York Preparatory Academy.
All right. Woo! All right.
Tori Gibson, Horry County Schools.
All right. Okay. So put your are you right-handed? Your shoulder okay? Yeah. Your shoulder okay? All right, ladies, we're going to do this. Turn around and face them. Put your right arm out. Oh, I'm sorry, out to the side like this. Like this. Okay, I'm going to try to push it down and you resist, okay? All right. Good job. That's where you are. This one, I do
this all the time.
Yeah, I'm not. Okay, yeah, she's got some guns too. Okay, all right. So what I want you to do is I want you to look out at them and I want you to say, I love my life. Good things always happen to me. I am so happy. So just shout it out together.
I love my life. Good things always happen to me. And what else?
I'm so happy.
I'm so happy.
Woo! Okay, put your arm out and let's see where you are now. Okay, a little stronger. Ooh, this one I can probably swing on. All right. Now, I want you to look out at them and I want you to say, I'm just kidding. I hate my life. Bad things always happen to me. I am so miserable.
I hate my life. I hate my life. Bad things always happen to me. I'm miserable.
Okay, put your arm out. Put your arm out and let's see where you are now. Let's see where you are. She's trying so hard too. All right. So you see what their positive words did to them and negative words. Let's see what my words do to them. I want to tell you both to volunteer, even to fight to be up here. It's impressive. Never had that happen before. But it really is brave of you. You're in a room with, I think they said almost 500 people. You don't know what I'm going to ask of you. You still said yes. You still came up here. And your districts, your schools are lucky to have you. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Put your arm out. Let's see where you are. Resist. Okay. Let's see where you are. Yeah. All right. So now we're going to take it a step further. Okay. So you've seen what their words did to them. You've seen what my words do to them. Let's see what your thoughts do to them. So I don't want you to say any words. Don't say anything. Just take your energy and send them negative thoughts. Kind of like a loser. Hey, you want it up here. This is my show. I'm going to make it okay, I promise. But you're just going to kind of send them like loser thoughts. I'm going to step over here so none of it gets on me. So, thank you. So just send them that negative energy. Okay, let's see where you are now. Arm out. Just trying so hard. Do you get what that means, though? It was your thoughts that made them weak. It is your thoughts about your coworkers, about the precious little souls that are walking into your cafeterias. It's your thoughts about the administration. It's your thoughts about your spouse and your own children and your neighbors. Our thoughts, everything we say and everything we think, either lifts people up or it tears them down. And that is why it is so critical that we have to be positive. We have to look for the good in every situation. Now, we cannot leave these lovely ladies in this circumstance. So have either of you ever gotten a standing ovation?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Great. Have you?
Of course I have.
Yeah. There you go. Well, whether you have or haven't, your only job is to stand here. I want you to open your arms and receive it. And your job is to give them the best standing ovation imaginable. All right. Let's see if they're back. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so here we go. And a little gift of Mint Milanos.
Thank you.
I had to hide those. All right. Thank you. All right. Dr. Missouri Emoto is a research scientist. And you can find his work all over the internet, but one experiment he did was he took 2 bottles of water. And Missouri Emoto's, his whole goal in life was to build a microscope that could take a picture of a molecule of water. So he put water in bottles. One of the bottles had the words "you are evil" on it. One of the bottles had the words "I love you" on it. Then he spoke those words to the water, and then he took a drop out of each one and photographed it. Those are the images. That's why in our bodies are 70% water, right? So that's why sometimes when we get around somebody who's super negative, we kind of feel like, because that's what it's doing to our insides. So our brains are actually exposed to 11 million bits of information per second, but our brains have only evolved to the point where we can process 120,000 bits of information per second. We get to decide which 120 out of that 11 million we focus on. And if you want to be happier, you're going to want to look for the positive. So let's review. We've got fully engage in. Okay, that was a little underwhelming. Let's try this again. Fully engage in your life. Okay. You're going to be positive. Yes. And the third one is to focus on what matters. Focus on what matters to you, and that's going to look different for every single person in this room. What matters to me is sharing my message of hope and happiness with as many people on the planet as I can. And I do that from standing up on a stage and speaking. And I read a poll recently where they canvassed thousands of people and had them rank their fears, and they ranked fear of public speaking higher than fear of death. That means some of you would rather die than trade places with me. But for me, it's what lights me up. So how do you focus on how do you figure out what matters? Well, I'm going to give you a life hack, and some of you are probably already doing it. And that is that you set goals. Set goals. In fact, if you set goals this year in 2024, go ahead and stand up. All right, yay. All right. If you wrote those goals down, I want you to stay standing. If you just thought them in your head, have a seat. But if you wrote them down, stay standing. All right, if you wrote them down and you have them someplace where you review them regularly, you see them often, go ahead and stay standing. If you just wrote them down and then put them away. All right, let's give this group a big whoop whoop. Whoop, whoop. Good job. You can have a seat. The stats are that 80% of Americans do not set goals. 16% do it in their heads. 3% write them down. Only 1% write them down and review them regularly. You guys are clearly above the average. Here's the fabulous thing about goal setting and happiness. You do not even have to hit your goal to get the bump in happiness. What research has found, remember, only 10% of our happiness is based on our circumstances. So the bump in happiness comes from you pursuing something that matters to you. When I started my jewelry business that I grew to $1 million, I started out with the goal of I was going to build $1 million jewelry business. I mean, I had been a stay-at-home mom and a school teacher. I had nothing that said I could do it, but that was my goal. And from the outset, my first year in business, wait for it, came out of the gate fast. My sales were $4,000. Yeah, I know. But when people would ask me what I did, I would say I'm president and CEO of $1 million business I built for my kitchen table. It was after an event like this. I had my table in the back where I was selling my books and my jewelry. There was a line, but I noticed there's a woman behind the line just pacing. Her arms were crossed. Her body language was not happy. She waited till everybody cleared out. She kind of looked both ways, slapped her hands down on my table, leaned over, and she said, you lady, you're a liar. I said, I'm a liar? She said, you told people you had $1 million business when you didn't. I said, oh, sweetie, I had $1 million business. All the money had just not arrived yet. It finally caught up to me. Yeah. You know, they went into kindergarten classrooms, and they asked those kindergartners, how many of you can sing? Every hand went up. Then they went into 10th grade classrooms. How many of you can sing? You know, a few hands went up. We get told what we can't do, what we can't be, what we can't have. We've got to dig deep in that place within us. And it's one of the things I love about this. And I'll tell you, I've keynoted quite a few events in my life. This group does it up right. I mean, your theme, your decorations, the t-shirts, all of it. It is just awesome. And they chose the School Nutrition Olympics. What do you do in the Olympics? Go for the gold. They are giving you permission to shoot high. They're bringing in, I didn't get to see cute little Vera yesterday, but she looked adorable. Ron, who's coming this afternoon, he's going to be so much fun. He's talking about smiling. I'm talking about happiness. They are giving you permission to do your very best and to go for happiness. One of the things that surprised me most of anything when I started researching happiness was that you will not find a book on happiness that doesn't talk about goal setting. So you've still got most of your first semester to go, 2.5 more months. What do you want to make happen in the next 2.5 months in your kitchen, in your school, in your district? So take some time to set some goals. There's a million ways you can do it. Chapter 8 in my book is the process I've used for 35 years. But you can Google goal setting and you'll get 1 billion hits. And I'll tell you, I know people that spend more time planning their summer vacation than they do what they want out of their life. So if you really want to be happy, take some time to set some goals. All right, so we're going to review again. I know you guys are going to get this first one now. You got to fully engage in. You got to be. You got to focus on what matters. Yes, okay. The fourth one, this is the one that will change your genetic set point. So if you tend to kind of be a pessimistic person, pay attention. The one thing you can do to change your genetic set point is to practice gratitude. And gratitude for everything, not just the good things. It's easy to be grateful for the good things that come into your life, but grateful for everything. You know, in our culture, anytime something negative or bad happens, we want to get rid of it. But think about this. You don't grow on vacation. You grow when you're in the middle of the muck. I call it AFO, another fun opportunity. Yeah. That's when we get to go. My husband and I were like the statistics after our daughter Chelsea died. We got divorced. And while we were divorced, we both went to counseling. And through our therapy, we were able to get back together. And we were getting, whoop, whoop. Yes, yeah. And so we were getting remarried in a couple of weeks. And his counselor, back then. We've been remarried now for like 13 years, but back then we were getting married in a couple of weeks, and his therapist asked him to bring me to his last session. So we show up at the session, and Dr. Phillips says, Kim, I asked Robert to bring you here because there's a story I want you both to hear. It's about two friends, Martha and Jill. They've been married about the same amount of time, but Martha, she just really didn't even like her husband. They didn't really do anything together. They didn't laugh, have fun together. They were almost more like roommates. Jill, on the other hand, still loved her husband. They were very connected. They really enjoyed each other's company. And Martha got a little sick and tired hearing about how great Jill's husband was. So she said, Jill, for 1 week, just 1 week, I want you to write down every time he does something that annoys you, every time he leaves a mess, every time you have to repeat yourself. I mean, just anything he does that irritates you. And Jill was like, of course, I love my man. Well, guess what? After a week, she had pages in this book of things he did that irritated her. And Dr. Phillips stops the story right there. He looks my husband in the eye and he says, Robert, do you know why I've told you this story? He said, no. He said, I'm telling you this story because whatever you look for in Kim, you will find. Whatever we look for, we will find. And we can look for something to be grateful for, yes, woo! Or we can look for something to complain about. Now here's someone I am very grateful for. Nate, take it away. Whoop, can we crank it? There we go. That is my 29-year-old son, Rob. One of the few humans I know that can pull off being a flower girl. It's a 29-year-old man. And 60 days after this video was taken, he was gone. His bright light out forever. Rob was a collegiate tennis player. He had his own tennis academy after, I've watched that thing 1,000 times and I will watch it 1,000 more. He was a collegiate tennis player. I was at this match. He took his team to regionals that day. After college, he got a degree in entrepreneurship. He started a pest control business. He was also the lead stringer for the men's and women's Razorback teams. They were all at his funeral. And after he died, his students, we don't live where he lives anymore, but his students wrote to us and said, we're going to build a bench in Rob's honor. I saw like a metal bench with wooden slats. This is the bench that they built in his honor. Yeah. And if you can't read it, I want to read to you what it says. This bench has been created honoring Coach Rob Hodous and the many hours he spent coaching and playing tennis and investing in the lives of his players and this community. His joy and spirit will be deeply missed on the mountain. Please take a seat and soak in a moment of peace. So if you are doing the math, that means I've lost 2 of my 5 children. But I can still find something to be grateful for. Now, am I grateful for their deaths? Of course not. Am I grateful for their lives? Absolutely. I'm grateful for the 2 years I had with Chelsea and the 29 years I had with Rob. I am grateful for the support and love of my family and friends, and I am so grateful for the lessons I learned from their lives and from their deaths. How do we find gratitude in the midst of tough times? Because let's face it, our world's going through a lot, right? We're still feeling the effects of the pandemic. Now we've got rising inflation and an election, which always brings about so much love and harmony. There's natural disasters, which I know so many of you in this room have been affected by just in the last couple of weeks. And then, of course, in your jobs and in your worlds, in your work, I mean, there's nothing better, right, than somebody calling up at 2 o'clock and saying, and oh yeah, we need 200 sack lunches tomorrow morning, right? And oh yeah, did anybody tell you we're doing a Bojangles and a Chick-fil-A and a whatever fundraiser this week, right? So there's all kinds of things that you have to deal with that you might not want to be grateful for. So what do? When difficult things happen, we still have to deal with the problem. We still have to feel the feelings. Trust me, there's many a morning I couldn't get out of bed. There were many a night I've cried myself to sleep. I mean, I called the year after Rob died being in the belly of the whale. I just had to go low and just take care of myself. So when there are negative things, we've got to deal with those and feel them, but that's not where we dwell. That's not where we stay. That's not what we focus on. I mean, I think about every person in this room has chosen a career that involves feeding hungry children. You are the only group in the whole school that sees every kid every day. And you've heard of the 5 love languages. I personally believe there are 6. Food is one of my love languages. I mean, yes, woo! I come from a long line of women that love to feed people. And, think about it. I think there's the majority of women in this room, because think about it. Every human body has mammary glands. Ours are the only ones that work, right? I believe it is part of the divine feminine to feed children. And if you are a man in this room, what it says to me is that you have a huge heart for protecting and caring for children. Ooh. Gives me the chills. So you can focus on what's negative, or you can be grateful for the career that you have chosen. And I believe that the school nutrition department is probably one of the most undervalued and unappreciated, because everybody in this room knows, you all know, hungry children cannot learn. So don't ever doubt what you're doing. Be grateful for the opportunity you get every day. All right, another review. Here we go. We've got fully engaging, B, focus on what, and practice. All right, this is the last one. The last one is to connect with others. Connect with others. It so boosts our happiness. And I got to tell you, it's a lot easier for women than for men. There's a couple of reasons. One is because of the cultural norms, because men get the message, you need to be able to take care of yourself. You don't need to want to rely on anybody. You need to be able to take care of yourself and your family, right? We as women, on the other hand, we feel more secure and more cared for if we know we have a support network. We have a safe place to fall. And that's actually because our brains are wired different. Men have actually 2.5 times the brain space dedicated to action and aggression. Women have 11% more neurons for language and listening. So it's a little easier for us to connect. And you can see how innate it is just on the playground. Think about how little girls play, right? They play house, they play school, they play hopscotch. What is hopscotch? It's just a bunch of girls jumping around with each other. How do little boys play? Dodgeball, Red Rover, King of the Hill. There's competition. There's a clear winner. Rob, so I had 3 girls and then a boy. And so our house was full of, pretty little ponies and doll houses. One morning at breakfast, Rob picks up a Barbie, bends her in two, and goes, Now, my daddy was a Quaker minister. I was brought up in a completely pacifist home. I've raised my children in a completely pacifist home. All I can imagine is that he was on a playground and somebody did that and he was all in. So it's natural. And in the workplace, not only do we have differences between men and women, we have different generations, Gen Z, Gen Y, baby boomers. There's all kinds of differences. So how do we connect with the people we work with if we don't have a lot in common with them? Well, I want you to think about, how do you connect with your friends? If you were going out tonight, you'd say, I'm going out with my friends and we're going to have so much. She yelled food. I am in the school nutrition world. I love it. Yes, so much fun. And we have got to lighten up and have more fun. Now, this organization knows how to have fun, I can tell. When children under the age of 5 laugh or smile 400 times a day, by the time they get to the age of, we get to the age of 35, it is down to 15 times a day. From 400 to 15. I want you to know I have counted the number of laughs in this talk. You guys don't have to crack a smile till next Wednesday. You're still going to beat the national average. Yeah. So how do we connect and have fun? And I know we're trying. Women, I don't know, do they play bunco in South Carolina? Yeah, like stupidest game in the world. Yeah, women, they do book clubs. I joined a book club. Some of my girlfriends were in it. I show up at 7 o'clock. Everybody gets a little plate of hors d'oeuvres, glass of wine. We're talking. 8 o'clock rolls around, 8:30. Book club's done at 9. I went over and I said, are we going to talk about the book? The woman goes, hey, didn't y'all read the book? I was the only one that had even read the book. They weren't there for the book. They were there to hang out and connect with each other. That's why men join golf leagues and basketball teams. But there is one surefire way that you can connect with people. and that is to celebrate them, to lift them up. And I know everybody in this room, whatever your position, I am sure you have been in a cafeteria and you've had the chance to look at a little student coming through that line and tell them, don't they look pretty today? Or compliment them on their great manners or their good food choices, and you just see how they light up, right? It can be so simple. And I want you all to get a chance to experience what it is like to be celebrated. So we're going to do a little activity. Now, it's going to involve you getting up out of your seats, and there's a lot of you. So I'm going to ask your cooperation in one way. When you hear whoop, whoop, please go absolutely silent. Even if you're in the middle of a sentence, just stop right there, okay? So we can get through this. All right, so I'm going to give you 30 seconds. And what you're going to do is you're going to find a partner. And you and your partner are going to stand up and you're going to go be face to face. If you don't have a partner, start to walk towards this stage. You kind of look, somebody else will be looking, you'll find each other, and if you can't, I'll help you find a partner. Okay, 30 seconds, ready, set, go. Get your partner. All right, whoop, whoop. Very nice, thank you. All right, everybody's got their partner. You're facing each other. Oops, we got one right here without a partner. There you two found each other. I love it. All right, so there we go. They found partners. Okay, so here's what you're going to, we got one more without a partner. Who didn't have a partner? Right here. Come this way, love, right here, up here. All right, okay. So I'm going to give you 5 seconds. You're going to pick an A and a B partner. An A partner and a B partner. All right. Whoop, whoop. Okay. B's are going to go first. All right. So what you're going to do, B's, for 30 seconds, you are going to tell A's great things about you. Okay? You're just, for 30 seconds, you're going to brag on yourself, how wonderful you are. It can be about your job, your family, your hobbies. 30 seconds, ready, set, go. Excellent. Okay, now for 15 seconds, A's, you are going to reiterate back to B's how fabulous they are. All the things they just shared with you that they're good at, you are just for 15 seconds going to celebrate them and tell them how incredible they are. Ready, set, go. We're going to reverse it. So now A's, for 30 seconds, you're going to tell B's how fantastic you are. So just let them have it. Tell them how amazing you are. 30 seconds. Ready, set, go. Now, B's, you're going to look back at A's, and it's almost just like, oh, just totally celebrate them, lift them up, let them know how amazing they are. Ready, set, go. All right. Okay. Some people are even crying. This is beautiful. Wow. Okay. How did that feel? Yeah. Okay. And get this. It felt so good. The energy in this room is palpable. That's how good it felt. And guess what? You told them what to say. Can you imagine when it just comes out of the blue? Good job. Thank your partner, and you can have a seat. So, when it comes to connecting with each other, whoop, whoop. When it comes to connecting with each other, we can either build each other up, find things to celebrate in each other, or we can stand in the middle of the kitchen and we can say, she's in my station. Who's got my cart? Where's my bucket? And if we want to be happier, we need to connect with each other. All right, I got two things to share before I wrap this up and give you my final story. One is that I have a bunch of resources, free resources, to help you on your happiness journey. In the back, there are two baskets in the back there where you can leave your business card. If you don't have a business card, you can either write your name on a slip of paper, give me your name and your email, or there's a sign-up sheet back there. You can write your name and your email. Next week, I will email you a password-protected site page on my website, and it's got all kinds of stuff. It's got a forgiveness exercise, it's got a goal-setting exercise. It's how you can make friends as an adult, right? As a kid, you just have to walk up to someone on the playground. Hi, want to be friends? Not so easy. So, and listen, if you like this message and belong to another organization, or you have a team that you would like to hear this message, please put an S on your card or next to your name for speaker. I am here today because 2 years ago I did the Lawrence 55 School District kickoff, and Wanda Knight heard me. And Wanda Knight told SCASBO, the South Carolina Association of School Business Association, about me, and they heard me, and Jennifer and I were trying to, we think somebody from Jennifer's school mentioned my name to her, and Jennifer had me come and talk to just her team in Pickens County, and I didn't even know at the time she was the president of this organization, so somehow she got my name to Amy. So if you belong to I do no advertising, if you belong to any other organization or feel like this would be good for your team, please put that S and I'll reach out to you next week. Also, at the back of the room on my table, I have a special deal for you today. You can get my award-winning book, Show Up, Be Bold, Play Big. You're going to really like it. Here's part of the reason. And do any of you like quotes? I'm a huge quote fan, a little book of quotes. So you get these three, the 2 books and a bookmark for $200. Just kidding. Remember, we got to lighten up and have more fun. $20. Everything's $20. I also have Rob, the message that Rob sends me, the signs he sends me are little heart rocks. So I have the Rob Stone necklace, and then I have this Chelsea bracelet. And this is the last story that I want to share with you today. So when I came home from that conference in California with Rob, my husband, when I got home, he kind of had the same reaction to me. He was like, what happened in California? Everything about you feels different. I said, honey, this 6'5" Italian man came up to my hotel room at midnight. And then I realized that probably was not where I should have started the story. I did have an incredible experience at that event, but when I came home, there was still a lot of healing to do. And when I came home, I started finding white stones every single place I went. Not a pile of them, but I'd find one little white stone, and I started collecting them. And I didn't know what they meant, but I felt like they were from Chelsea and that she was trying to tell me something. It was months later, I was at church. We had a guest pastor, and she was preaching on the story of David and Goliath. And she said, most people are familiar with this story. And they get that David represents the underdog spirit in all of us that can overcome anything. I mean, nobody was supposed to be able to defeat Goliath. So David represents that spark of in us that's a fighter. Goliath represents the huge obstacles in our life, those things that seem insurmountable, undefeatable. Maybe in your life it's a financial crisis or a health crisis. Maybe it's the death of somebody you love. But what nobody ever talks about in that story are the smooth white stones that David used to slay Goliath. And they have a message for us as well. And I knew what he was going to share next, or what she was going to share next, were not words that she wrote for that congregation. I knew that it was Chelsea talking to me through her. And she said, those smooth white stones represent our ability to slay any giant, overcome any obstacle, and create a life that we love. And so that is my final message to you beautiful men and women here in South Carolina, going out into those schools and feeding hungry children. Go out there, overcome any obstacle to your happiness, create a life that you love living, and then join me in my mission to make this world a happier place. Whoop, whoop! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am so touched. Thank you. Thank you.